Hello. Thank you for being here and welcome. Good morning, good evening, good night from wherever you are in the world today. We'll just wait a few minutes and let everybody come in out of the waiting room and come through, and then we'll begin. And I've got a few questions that have been submitted ahead of time. I'll try and answer them as we go along. But should you have a question that I don't get around to answering, just drop it in the little Q&A there, and I'll answer it at the end if I don't get to it earlier. I try to handle everything as we go along, but we'll see how it goes. Okay. So thank you for being with us tonight, this evening. This is about the golden visas and the passport programs. Many of them are facing closure. That's just not a sales pitch. We are experiencing something that the industry has never dealt with before. And I'm going to show that to you today. But governments are terminating these programs, and we are at the height of demand for them right now as well. So that has also made it a more concerning issue. But today we're going to talk about who I am, who Holborn is, and what these programs are, what's going on, what you need to think about and consider, and what's happening in Portugal specifically, because that is the #1 program in the world right now. So that one creating the greatest ripple effects in the industry. And so I want to talk to you about that. But I am Julian. This is my email address right here. Please, if you want to have a consultation, just send me a direct email to this address. That gets you directly into my private clients list, and that'll get you the fastest and quickest consultation and service. You can also scan this QR code. This will take you to my LinkedIn page, which has got everything on it. You can go to my entire world through my LinkedIn page. And I also put out a newsletter on a bi-weekly basis, every 2 weeks, called Be the High Grind, Make the World Your Plan B. And but I do have a Substack, a website, and an Instagram. But usually the best way to get to me is through LinkedIn, or the best way to get to me is directly via email using this email. But whichever way is more convenient. And I do want to tell you a little bit about Holborn. Holborn is a wealth management firm. We're not investment migration like these other companies. An investment migration firm is simply a company that middlemans and does nothing but real estate in these programs. Holborn Assets does the whole wealth management portfolio, and Holborn Pass is you could say, subsidiary of Holborn Assets that focuses on the global citizens solution, which is what we're going to talk about today. We have 20 offices around the world. We have well over 250 individuals like myself who do this. We have over 20,000 clients. We do have an office in Portugal. We are the #1 provider of the Portugal Golden Visa. We have done at least 10% of the Golden Visa applications to date. And like I said, the Golden Visa for Portugal is the #1 program in the world, but it's not the only program. It solves most of all my clients' needs, but not all of them. So we're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about all of them as well too. And just to give you an idea of the kind of service you get when you connect with me as a client, this is an example of the process for Portugal, but it's pretty much mirrored across all of our programs. It's a beginning to end kind of situation. From the time we onboard you to the time you get to whatever the ultimate goal is, we help you along the way, from the due diligence, the application, the whole 9 yards. And for Portugal, we open up the bank account for you. We get you your tax numbers and everything. So this just gives you an idea of what the service looks like. I wanted to focus on this at the beginning because we just updated this in April, and it's already outdated. That's how fast this industry is moving right now, and the importance of what we're going to talk about today. As you can see, here's Vanuatu. Vanuatu actually has 2 programs. One of them has been closed down. The other one, these prices are now not correct. They've been increased by 20%. That just happened a couple of weeks ago. And Malta, as you can see here, that is the big news of the industry. That has been shut down as of the last week of April. This program was shut down. So there is so there's 2 less citizenship programs available right now. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about today. So I call these Plan B programs. That's because of the current demand and reason for them. Previously, I was calling them the ultimate retirement strategy because they are that, and they still are that. But people aren't focusing on retirement right now. They're focusing on having a Plan B citizenship, a Plan B residency, a backup plan of where to go, where to take their family, where their kids can get medical assistance and medical access, where their kids can go to school, where they have a second set of rights, a second residency. And that's what people are looking for, what they need right now. These programs, both the golden visas and the citizenship programs, they solve those problems. So that's why I'm referring to them as Plan B programs right now. But right now, I have had a 700+% increase in US clients over the last year. And that's why I focus on US clients right now, because that's the bulk of my private client list. But I'm open to global clients from everywhere, and these solutions solve something for everyone. But I do want to mention about this is a Monmouth University study that was done in last year, just to show you the trend of US citizens trying to get out of the United States. And over the last 10 years, it has been on a steep rise. But over the last 12 months, well, actually 6 to 8 months, it has gone, straight to the top. But golden visas, also known as residency by investment, they give you a backup set of rights and privileges, and they give you a regional degree of mobility. For example, Portugal opens up, access to the whole EU. Some of the golden visas are temporary residency, some of them permanent residency, some of them you actually have to live in the country, some of them you don't. But golden visas in general don't have any language requirements. Should you want to move on to citizenship through a golden visa, that does have language requirements. You can go direct to citizenship with the passport programs. There's no language requirements there. But again, those are different programs, different countries. So, but passport programs are citizenship by investment. The importance, the thing to know about these books here, right here, is these are not just, we look at these as travel documents. These are not just travel documents. They're good for travel, but these are legal identities. You can get married in one, put your assets in one, travel in one. That's three different people doing three different things. These are three different identities that I have. Passports are the strongest, most powerful, most strategic asset you can have in today's world. You're not going to get privacy, and the asset of privacy, the security of privacy, you're not going to get that to a degree that you get that by having more than one of these in today's world. There are backup rights, there are backup privileges. You can bank with one, travel with one, put your assets in one. Like I said, visa-free travel is important, and it's something that comes with this, but don't focus on the Greek visa-free access, because that's actually the lowest, the least important power these give you. So those are passports, those are golden visas. I do want to talk about when we're saying backup rights, backup privileges, what are we talking about? With golden visas, you can get the right to work, you can get the right to study, the right to conduct business, the right to bank, the right to reside in a country, the right to retire in that country. And it can lead to citizenship. Specifically EU golden visas, like I said, we talk about Portugal a lot because it is the #1 program in the world. When we're talking specifically about EU golden visas, that residency is not just basic residency. You're going to get ETIAS exemption status. You're going to get EES exemption status. What does that mean? I'll explain that in a minute. You're going to be able to, for example, Portugal, you'll be able to live in Portugal the full year if you want, but you'll also have access to the rest of the EU in 90-day intervals. So you can go to Germany for 90 days, back to Portugal for 90 days, Spain for 90 days, back to Portugal for 90 days, the Amalfi Coast for 90 days, Saint-Tropez for 90 days, whatever. And then you can just reset the clock by returning to Portugal for 90 days. The golden visas also open you up to the EU golden visas, also open you up to the medical access rights and the medical access procedures of the EU, specifically Portugal. And LGBTQ rights, Portugal is the #1 country for that. And EU citizenship is the most powerful. This is my US passport. This is my Italian passport. This is extraordinarily more powerful than my US passport. With your EU passport, you can live in 30+ countries. So it is a very, very powerful asset to have. Now, ETIAS and EES, what is that? So countries are moving away from visa-free travel. That's why I said don't focus on passports for their visa-free capabilities because those are going to be diminishing. They've been diminishing and they're going to continue diminishing over the coming years. Countries are locking up and closing down. ETIAS and EES is how the EU is moving in that direction. ETIAS is an e-visa. So right now there's two types of travelers to the EU. There are those that require a Schengen visa, and there are those that can just show up and stay in the EU for 90 days. Those who require a Schengen visa, nothing's going to change for you. Those who can just show up and stay for 90 days, like US citizens, next year, that's gone. So what's going to happen is you're going to have to apply for and get an ETIAS e-visa. That's going to give you your 90 days. But you're not just going to be able to show up and get those 90 days. You're going to have to be pre-approved. And then once you have that ETIAS or Schengen visa, this is going to matter. Once you have that pre-approval to enter the EU, at the border, you're going to have to be subjected to EES, which is facial scans and digital fingerprints when you enter and when you leave the EU. That's going to calculate whether you overstayed that 90 days or not. And if you did overstay, they're going to take you into a little room and have a little discussion with you and maybe ban you from future stays. But if you have a Portugal Golden Visa, you will be exempt from ETIAS and EES throughout the whole EU. So even with a Portugal Golden Visa, you can fly directly into Greece, you can fly directly into Germany, Italy, France, and you'll be exempt from ETIAS and EES. So it's a very powerful thing to have in your back pocket. The only golden visa that will not be EES exempt is Cyprus, because as of today, Cyprus is not in the Schengen zone. It's claiming it's going to move into the Schengen zone this year. If it does, then it'll be EES exempt. But as of now, I'm sorry, ETIAS exempt. But as of now, it is not ETIAS exempt. The EES system will be online by the end of this year, and ETIAS is required to be online in every country by the end of next year. It'll be coming on in stages. Some countries will have it, some countries won't, but both of these will be in full-fledged launched by the end of next year. So the power of passports, like I said, these are alternative identities. Okay, you get global mobility, but it's not just visa-free access. It's travel with privacy. Okay, you leave one country as one identity, you enter the next country with a different identity. That new country does not know where you just came from. It is a level of privacy you can't get any other way. It is a right to work in one country or multiple countries. For example, an EU passport gives you the right to work in 30 countries, gives you the right to study in 30 countries, gives you the right to conduct business in 30 countries, and bank and reside in medical access and medical procedures rights in 30 countries. That's the power of an EU passport. EU passports are the most powerful passports on planet Earth. And like I said, the EU passport gives you the ETIAS and the EES exemption status, but you do have to go through the Golden Visa residency process to get to the EU passport. If you want to move directly to a passport, then the Caribbean 5 programs are your best option for that, the most popular option for that. And they do have their own sets of privileges. For example, a St. Kitts passport, because it's called a CARICOM passport. CARICOM is like it's how the EU is set up, multiple members. CARICOM is the Latin America Caribbean equivalent of that. So for US citizens that like to retire close to home, with a St. Kitts passport, you can easily acquire residency in Belize. Belize is the only English-speaking country in Latin America. You can easily acquire residency through CARICOM privileges by your St. Kitts passport and retire in Belize. It's a power that it gives you. So it's a very powerful asset to have. It's the most powerful asset you can have in the world right now, and that's the power of having passports. Now, I do want to talk about this. This is why we're here today. This is the breaking news that's been happening. On April 29th, the EU court ruled the Malta passport program, the Malta citizenship program, closed it down. It said it was illegal. And the reason it said it was illegal was because This is the EU Commission's stamp that citizenship requires a genuine link to both the country and the bloc. This is what the EU says. Now, the EU court did not make a decisive ruling on that factor, but they did rule that the Malta program was illegal because it amounted to a transactional process, essentially passport for sale. That's what they basically ruled in layman terms. And that's why they shut it down, because you did not have to actually live in Malta to acquire the citizenship. So if you scan that QR code, go to my LinkedIn page, go to my latest edition of my LinkedIn newsletter. In that newsletter, you can access this actual court ruling in its full text. That's why I put the paragraph numbers here in this webinar, so that you can, go directly to the court ruling, go to page or paragraph 52, and you'll see I just cut and pasted this directly from the ruling. I'm not rewording it. I'm not changing it. This is exactly what the court said in the ruling. So you can go to my LinkedIn page, go to the ruling, go to paragraph 59, and you'll see this is the statement that's made. And this is the EU's Commission's stance, that they believe a genuine link must exist at the time citizenship conveys. Okay, and that's very, very important, and that's why they shut down the Malta program. And I'm going to explain that in more detail in a minute. The Malta process played out like this. So if you wanted to do the Malta citizenship program, this is how my clients traversed through it. You would come to Malta, we have a team there, and you would fill out a residency form, you submit your biometrics, you have to secure a 1-year rental, but you're not actually living in Malta for that year. You would fill out the form, do the biometrics, pay for the 1-year rental, and then you could go back to the United States or wherever. Over the next 12 months, the Malta team, the government team, was doing their due diligence, doing your source of funds, doing your background checks, doing that type of thing. Usually around month 6 or 8, they would come up with their response, which is either a denial or an approval in principle. And once you had that, you would then return to Malta at the 12, 13 month. That's step 4. Now, once you were back in Malta, this is when we actually applied for citizenship. You redid your biometrics, and this is where you would have to satisfy the actual investment. For Malta, it was approximately 1 million USD. There was a government contribution, there was a real estate element, there was a charitable donation. You had to extend the rental for 5 more years. And once that was done, once we documented and certified all of that, you were free to leave again, go back to wherever. And over the next 3 months, the government verified all of that was done, and then citizenship was conveyed. You'd come back for your oath of office. You'd come back for your naturalization oath, and that was it. So basically, your entire time in Malta over the course of these 15 months is approximately 1 month. You spent about 1 month in Malta over this 15 months. And this is the issue. This is the detail that the EU court focused on. Because, as they said, you were only in the country basically to submit biometrics and give the oath of allegiance. That's basically why you were there. That's basically the only time you were there. Over the course of that 15 months, you were only there about a month. So this is what the EU court focused on. So does that mean genuine link or not? They did not define that. They did not make that connection. The genuine link nomenclature is what the EU Commission stands on, but what the lack of actual connection, the lack of physical presence, the lack of physical residency, real physical residency in the country is what the court focused on. And that's what they said here. It basically amounted to a transactional process. They were selling passports. So that's why they shut it down. Now, this shut the Malta program down, but this does not mean citizenship by investment's illegal. It does not mean residency by investment's illegal. To the contrary, it did not say that. It said the way the process played out was wrong. Malta has every intention of bringing this program back with some modifications, and I can tell you right now, those modifications are going to be in-country requirements. You're going to have to live in Malta. That's what's going to happen. But when this program comes back is unknown. Could be later this year, Could be next year, who knows? But they're going to bring the program back at some point with the modifications, but it's almost guaranteed that those modifications are going to be physical residency. And that's the issue that we're focusing on. That's what concerns us because this is not happening in a vacuum. Okay, that's the thing. If it was only this court ruling, if it was only the Malta program, if it was only this one detail that just happened out of the blue, that would be a whole different story. But that's not the situation. This has been a buildup over the last 24 months, and the EU Commission has been a central figure in the vast majority of what's been going on. The Caribbean prices were doubled. You used to be able to get a Caribbean passport for 100,000. Now that will cost you over 200,000. The Caribbean eliminated some dependents. It was very common for Caribbean programs for the main applicant to be able to add their sister, their brother, their great grandparents. A lot of that's gone now. The EU was a big reason. The UK turned around and aligned itself with the EU and got rid of visa-free access for Dominica. Then the EU putting pressure during the issues with the Caribbean, the EU was focusing on the price point. The prices are too cheap. The prices are cheap. Well, after that was done, here comes Greece. They tripled the cost of their golden visa. You used to be able to easily, very easily, get a 250,000 euro apartment on the Athens Riviera to use as your personal residence. Now, in 90% of cases, that's going to cost you 800,000 or more. There's a very, very few, there's a very small inventory of 250 to 300,000 euro residences still available to use as your private residency. They're very select, very rare. I do have some to offer for my private clients, but all in all, it's going to cost you about €1,000,000 to get a private villa or a private apartment in Greece with residency now. Then the EU turned around and they took Vanuatu's access away from them, visa-free access, which is a major factor for the UK doing the same thing. And both of those factors are why the Vanuatu process, one of the Vanuatu options got shut down and why the other ones raised its prices by 20%. Then after all of that was done, Portugal was going to close its golden visa in 2023, but it got saved due to the ruling party running out of time. And what they landed on was getting rid of the real estate option. And following that, however, Spain closed its program earlier this year, and now we lost Malta. So that's 3 programs that have been closed in the first 4 months of 2025. That has never happened before. And 2 of those 3 programs were major players. Malta and Spain were major players. Vanuatu is a very niche program. It's a very, very good program for certain clients. For other clients, it's it's more of a passport just to have. If you're a passport collector, Vanuatu, Nauru, these are great programs for you if you're a passport collector. If you're an ESG person, they're good programs. But if you're looking for a usable passport, these are very niche for certain clients. But nevertheless, 3 powerful passports. Well, the Spain was a golden visa, but 3 big programs in 4 months gone, never happened before. And this is the concern. It has been building up, building up, building up, and programs are now closing as a result of what's happening. Now, why now? See, that's the big thing. Why now? And I say over the last 12 months, but in reality, it's really the last 8 months, 8 to 12 months. We have been at a demand level that's unprecedented. Like I said before, I have over 700% more US clients than I've had before. And Portugal has become the #1 plan B for 90% of my clients because it solves almost all of their issues, if not all of their issues. And we're going to talk about that in a minute as well. But why is demand at its peak? Well, there's an escalation in geopolitical tensions. And, there's no one region you can point to without saying something's going on. Currency depreciations are at an all-time high. The euro is the strongest currency you can get into right now. Elections have resulted in dramatic paradigm shifts in very short periods of time. And again, there's not one country that you can point to and say, this is the only place it's happening, because it's not. You know, it's happening in many, many places. And it's the fact that it's happening in so many different places within the same time frame that's driving demand. But these paradigm shifts are just in their infancy. These new administrations are 100, 150 days old, and we can see what's happening. So, and you've got years left of these administrations. So that's why now these programs are being attacked by the Plan B, by the governments, because they want to shut them down now. You don't build walls to keep people out. You build them to keep people in. Okay. I hate to be the one that breaks the news for you about that. But okay. So let's talk about the next 24 months. Well, the next 24 months, again, you know, you need a crystal ball to really know what's going to happen. But there's a few educated guesses. There's a few, you know, things that we can identify. We do have elections that are happening. All the elections that are important aren't over yet. We have elections, in fact, May 18th, which is the Sunday after this, in Portugal. That's the most important issue that we need to discuss right now, because that is targeting the Portugal golden visa. So that's the biggest thing. But in 2026, we will see the implementation of ETIAS. Possible Cyprus joins the Schengen zone. The current EU court ruling, how is that going to play out over the next 12 months? And those are the big factors. But the EB5 in the United States is coming to an end. That's got nothing to do with any election, to be honest with you. The EB5 was already statutorily scheduled to end in 2027. Now, it requires congressional and presidential approval to be extended. It doesn't have that. So that's the big thing. The EB5 Regional Centers Program is ending in 2027, unless there's a change in Congress and a change in the president's decision. It's gone. They have to keep it open, and based upon what they've said, they're not going to. Canada is cutting approval rates by 50% next year. And so they're taking a more firm stand on immigration. So you have a lot of things that are happening with very big programs. The Portugal elections is the one we want to focus on, because that's the biggest and the most immediate that we have right now. So what's going on in Portugal? Right now, there's two parties. One of these parties is going to win, either the PS, which is the Socialists, center left, or the AD, which is the Democrats, center right. That maybe that doesn't make sense for the U.S. clients, because they have a different idea of right and left politically in the U.S., but in Europe, that's how it is. So the Democrats are center right, the Socialists are center left, and either way, you're going to end up with a centrist government. But what does that mean? That means they take different positions on the golden visa, which is what we want to talk about. The Democrats that are currently in power are the ones that saved the golden visa in 2023. The PS Socialists were trying to terminate it. They would have had they not ran out of time. They ran out of time. The Democrats came to power. They saved it. The agreement was get rid of the real estate. But now the Democrats, they're changing their tone on the golden visa. One of these parties are going to win, but they're both targeting the golden visa now. The good news is neither will, it's highly unlikely that either will secure a majority victory on Sunday. Just like the United States Senate has 100 seats, you need 51 to hold the majority. In Portugal, there's 230 seats, so you need 116 to hold the majority. Very unlikely a party's going to get that. Currently, the Democrats, the ADs, hold 80 seats, and the PS Socialists hold 77 seats. Those numbers are highly unlikely to change. There may be a little bit of a difference in them, but there's not going to be a dramatic difference to where a party's going to have a majority. What does that mean? Well, what it means is if the two parties disagree, then that buys time. That creates friction, that slows the process down. However, if the parliamentary coalitions, if those aligning with the Democrats and those aligning with the Socialists come to an agreement on an issue, that speeds things up. The only time factor involved then is the mere procedural formality of getting a bill through. which is 6 months. It'll take 6 months to get a bill through if everything moves smoothly and everybody agrees. And that's the concern that we have right now. Because if the socialists win on Sunday, it's gone. The golden visa's done. They tried closing it. They will close it. They're going to start from the very beginning this time. That's what they've already promised. However, it doesn't look like they're going to win. It does look like the incumbent Democrats are going to keep the power. However, they are also targeting the golden visa now. And the Portugal golden visa is the #1 program in the world for the following reasons. Number one, it requires no tax residence to maintain residency. Number two, it requires no physical residency. You do not have to move to Portugal. You only have to visit Portugal 7 days a year. The very day we file your Portugal golden visa applications, your 5-year timeline to citizenship also begins. So your residency and your time and your citizenship are running parallel but independent. Also, Portugal is the only program where you have actual options of getting a full investment return into 5, 6, 7-year mark. So those are all the things that make it great, and those are the things that the AD are going to target and shut down. Now, best case scenario is the socialists are probably going to agree on a lot of these changes because the socialists want to shut it down. They know if they lose on Sunday, they're not shutting it down. They know that. So what do they have to do? They have to accept either fighting and fighting and fighting and letting the program go on unchanged for years, or give in and say, okay, as long as we can make the program less accessible, we agree. So should the socialists and the Democrats, should the socialists agree with the Democrats' changes, then we can expect these changes to come into effect around Q1 2026. Like I said, it only takes about 6 months for something to move through the Parliament of Portugal if there isn't much resistance. So if all the powers agree to change the program, which is a good likelihood they will, then we can expect the new program to come into play Q1 2026. So what does that mean for our clients? Well, what that means for my clients is very simple. You need to get your application filed this year. If you get your application filed by the end of this year, you'll be grandfathered into the current terms and conditions, all those good things I just mentioned. No physical residency, no tax residency, 7 days in the country, a 500,000 euro price, full investment return capabilities, all those things, you'll be grandfathered into those things if your application is submitted this year. But this is the key. You don't simply join me as a client. You don't simply get onboarded as my client and you're done and you're grandfathered. Being a client doesn't grandfather you into anything. It doesn't secure your place on any list. Being onboarded as my client just turns my team into your team. It just gives us the ability to legally represent you. You're not eligible for any golden visa program until we can certify an investment has been made. So you have to go through the onboarding. That takes a couple weeks. Then we have to move through the investment stage. That can take a few months, depending upon how easy it is for you to move the money, how quickly you move through the investment process. This is what makes our exclusive investment critically important at this time, because investment funds for Portugal are available to the entire industry. So you're going into a queue to deal with that fund manager with every single client of every single company. However, our exclusive capital share funds, our capital share hospitality projects are exclusive to our clients. You're only on a waiting list with my other clients and my colleagues. So it's the fastest time to get through the investment stage is with our exclusive options. But nevertheless, we still have to open up a bank account. We still have to, my team still has to get you tax numbers. We still have to go through all those formalities to get to the actual money transfer step. Now, all of that averages 2 to 6 months, okay? Because remember, you have to collect documents as well, birth certificates, marriage licenses, your FBI background check, if you're an American, your police check from any other country. And they all have to be apostilled and certified within a certain time frame. That's why you cannot collect them from the beginning. So it'll take 4 to 6 months to go from being my client to getting you grandfathered in will take about 4 to 6 months on average during normal demand. This is May. We have 7 months left of this year. You have 4 to 6 months in that 7 months to get grandfathered in. This is very, very important to understand right now. And this is why I say consider our exclusive investment options, because the only line you're waiting in is the line of my clients as our clients. All the other investment options, you're going into a waiting list of everyone in the industry. So it's very important to consider that. So let's talk about these investment options, because I don't want to just tell you that they're out there without telling you about what they are. So for Portugal, there's 5 different categories that can exist for an investment. But unfortunately, the Portuguese government has not been respecting all these categories. Only numbers 4 and number 5 have been consistently and reliably getting golden visa approvals. So we focus on numbers 4 and number 5. But again, capital funds, venture funds, private equity funds, they're industry wide. So if you want an investment fund, you're going to go on a waiting list with every other client in the industry, with every other applicant in the industry. Our capital share funds, that's exclusive to us. And this is the most popular one we have right now, the Navigator series. Salacqua is a hotel owned and operated by the Navigator Collection, which is one of the largest hospitality groups in Portugal. This is the Algarve right here, which is the south of Portugal. If you know Andalusia and the Costa del Sol, which is where I'm currently sitting, in Spain, then this is the Portuguese equivalent of that. Huge expat population. This is a very international area. This is the fulcrum of Portuguese tourism. These hotels, there's a whole bunch of hotels you can see right here. These are sold out from throughout the entire summer. Very, very, very popular tourist area. This is the Atlantic Ocean you're looking at here. This is not the Mediterranean, but it's colder than the Mediterranean, but it's still very popular. So this is the capital shares option that we have exclusive to our clients. There's 2 options, a 500,000 and a 550,000 euro option. That really only matters should you not want a full investment return. You have the option of getting a full investment return, or you have the option of switching to a profit sharing model. That transition happens in year 6. So in year 6, you get back either the full investment or you transfer into a profit sharing model. Year 5, you transition into citizenship, critically important. So in year 4, you'll make a decision. What do you want to do? Do you want a full investment return or do you want profit sharing? Year 5, you'll transfer and your transition into Portuguese citizenship. In year 6, your year 4 decision will be implemented. You'll get your 500 or 550 return, or you'll switch over to a profit sharing model. And with these units, you can expect on average 4 to 6% a year. But so here's the important decision you have to make upfront though. This is capital shares in the Salacqua Hotel. Now, you're not going to get dividends on a quarterly basis or your annual, nothing like that. Your entire return is going to come upfront. You're going to get a whole bunch of upfront compensation. If you choose the 500 euro option, you're going to get 101 upfront. If you choose the 550, you're going to get 111 upfront. Now, this is a critical decision you need to make. That 101 or 111 is going to be sent to you. Okay, you can wait for that money, add your own money to it, and then send the full 500, 550 to your Portuguese account and make the investment. However, should you do that, it's going to add about a month to your investment stage. If you pay the full 500 and 550 upfront, and then just keep the return for yourself when it comes, that will shave off that month. It'll move a lot faster for you to get to the application stage. But the choice is yours. With this option, you also get 4 weeks a year at this hotel, complimentary. Again, you do need to spend 7 days a year in Portugal, so why not spend them at this hotel? It's free. 1 in the high season, which is the summer, 3 any other time of year. And that's the basic structure of this Portugal capital shares. Again, this is exclusive to my clients only. Now, if you wait to get the money, the 101, then that means you add 399. There is another option where I can connect you with a 50,000 euro loan. So you'll have the 101 or the 111, then you'll have the 50,000, and then you can put the rest of the money to it. Again, I do want to highlight, should you wish to take the loan, that's going to slow the investment stage down by about a month, and it will lower your out of pocket to 349 for the for the 500 option, but it will lengthen your investment stage. And this loan does have to be repaid. There's a 5% cost of the loan, so you'll pay 5,000 in addition to the loan. Plus, you'll also have quarterly payments you have to make, which comes out to be about 2,300 a month, about 6,900 a year or a quarter. But again, this you don't have to take the loan. That's an option. If you do take the loan, you still get the buyback option, you still get the full investment return or the profit sharing switch. You still have those options. This is just a financing option upfront to help you out if you want that. But this is our most popular Portugal Golden Visa option right now. This will be the fastest way of traversing through the investment stage. Again, the only people in line for this are our clients. So this will be the fastest way of getting to the application stage. Now, while Portugal is the #1 program, and it's the most popular program, and it is facing possible changes, it's not the only one. The US EB5 is the second most popular golden visa in the world because it's the US, and the global high net worth community moves to the US. The United States has more wealth, has a larger wealth community than anywhere else in the world. The United States represents the greatest wealth generating market in the world. So investors, global high net worth individuals want to move to the US. The EB5 regional centers is the best way to do that right now. Trump's gold card is already coming online. It's already in a beta stage. So this will be closing in 2027. This is our most popular EB5 investment. It's the oil fields of Texas. It is rural, which means you'll get approval in 8 to 12 months. It is a 800,000 in, 1 million back in 3.5 year investment. It does happen in stages, 400,000 down, approximately 2 months later, 200,000, approximately 2 months after that, the last 200,000. A little bit of working room I can give you on those dates. It just has to all be paid in that first year. It's an 800,000 investment. It'll cost you about another 100,000 for all the taxes and fees and all that. So think of it as 500,000 down and then 2,000, 200,000, 200,000. But this is our most popular EB5 because it is rural. It is 8 to 12 months to approval. However, we do have another very popular program for the EB5. This is a Las Vegas outfit. They have already done 6,000 EB5 approvals. This is tried and tested. They're paying out 3,000, over 3,000 of those investors are already getting money back. This is not a huge money-making issue. This is a typical EB5 return. What's great about this program, what investors are liking this program for, is because I can connect you with a $400,000 loan for this program. So you'll need your 500,000 up front, 400,000 for the investment, and then we got a loan we can connect you with for 400,000. That loan can be paid off at any time, no penalty. It is a 5-year loan with monthly payments. If you're interested in this option, I can send you an entire breakdown of all 60 payments, what it'll look like. Again, you don't have to make all 60 payments. You can pay it off at any time without any penalty. But this is the only $400,000 loan you can get for an EB5 program. So it's becoming more and more popular. This is not a rural project, though. This will take 16 months on average, 16 months to get approval to get to your green card on this. Now, I do want to talk about some other programs because as the industry is changing, we don't know what's going to happen with anything else. St. Kitts has already changed in 2023, but that does not mean it won't be changing again. The Malta program was a $1 million passport program. It's gone now, which means St. Kitts is now the most powerful passport in the world. Does that mean it's worth more than 250,000? Well, it's worth 250,000 now. Who knows now that there's no competition above that. Who knows? Now that it's the most powerful passport out there, who knows what it's worth or what it will be valued at in the coming months. But right now, you can get this passport for 250,000 through a donation, 325,000 through hotel shares, which is Royal Villa, established, documented hotel share returns, which is why I promote that one, or the Robert O. Bradshaw, which that's their international airport. They're expanding it. This is a donation, except it's a public benefit project. So your regular donation goes into a government fund, which can be used for anything: schools, hospitals, libraries. The airport project will be exclusively for the air. They are stating that the airport project donation will get expedited processing, faster pathway to the passport. We'll wait to see that, but that's what they're telling us. St. Kitts, most powerful passport available right now. Again, legacy asset. This passes on for generations. Visa free to Russia, to Brazil. Very powerful. U.S. passports don't have that. And again, it is CARICOM residency. It is a CARICOM passport, which means you can retire in Belize using CARICOM access to residency. Very easy, very straightforward. Very powerful passport. The only one, the most powerful one available. Now, some people want the best hotel share out there. I don't know. I guess that's a matter of opinion. But what I can tell you is Secret Bay in Dominica has the best documented hotel share payouts. They've been paying out hotel dividends since 2019, consistently, annually. And it is a world-class hotel. It's part of the Relais Chateau portfolio. It has been awarded numerous awards, multiple years. It's a 220,000 investment, which is cheaper than the St. Kitts option. Not as powerful as the St. Kitts passport, but it still is a CARICOM passport. It still is visa-free to China, Brazil, Russia. Very powerful visa-free access. 250 will get you up to 4 applicants through a donation. 220 is a single applicant through is the 220 is the hotel share. But again, it's not as powerful as the St. Kitts passport, but I mean, this hotel share has a longer history of documented dividend payouts. So whichever. Then there's Grenada. What makes Grenada stand out? Grenada stands out mostly to the non-US clients because it has access to the US. It's the only Caribbean passport with E2 visa eligibility. So that makes it stand out to the global HNW community. But the Grenada hotel shares, this is a powerful asset as well. The Intercontinental Grenada Resort, the option that we have is through Range Developments, who only builds world-class hotels. This is their second Intercontinental. They've done a Six Senses. They've done a Park Hyatt. The other three are open and making money. Very important that they're making money. You don't get hotel dividends if the hotel's not making money on the paperwork. So this is what they're doing. This is a credible, documented history with this developer. They have a proven track record for completing, for opening, and for making the payouts. This is a €50,000, $50,000 payout when the hotel opens. So it's not dividends, it's not shares like that. It's you get a $50,000 return when the hotel opens. However, it does have a donation option of $235,000 for up to 4 applicants. Again, legacy asset. Not all the Caribbean passports are legacy assets. These 3 are St. Kitts, Dominica, and Grenada are your legacy asset passports. They will pass on generationally. And again, Brazil, China, Russia, visa-free access, power. And again, for the non-US clients, E2 access. So, Portugal, most powerful, most popular golden visa in the world. EB5, US. Caribbean, those are passports. But let's talk about a few other options that exist out there. The Greece golden visa. The Greece golden visa has 3 tiers: 250,000, 400,000, 800,000. Now, the 800,000 is your traditional home ownership. 99% of all your villas and apartments that you can live in are going to be at the 800,000 plus range. 400,000 is the same thing, except it's in the middle of nowhere. 800,000 is Athens, Thessalonica, Salonique, the islands. 400,000 is up on the mountain or out on that island that nobody lives on. So the 400,000 is almost a non-existent option. Then there's the 250,000 euro option. This is primarily 99% serviced apartments, which is what you're seeing here. This is passive income. You're not going to be able to live in these apartments. These apartments are going to be put on the local rental market, and you're going to generate your income from that. There's 10 years of guaranteed rental income, 7,500 a year, or whatever 3% turns out to be, whichever is greater. You're going to get 10 full years of property management. They're fully furnished. You make the investment. It'll be built by Q2 2027 and put on the market. It's just a passive income investment for you. You're in this for the residency and the passive income. It's a tangible investment, obviously. It is a legacy investment, but it's 250, 265, 270, depending upon the unit you choose to buy. I do want to make a mention here that at this 250, it's 250 to 300, it's real estate, so it's going to move a little bit. It has to be at least 250. At this tier, it's very, very difficult to find private residence. I do have a couple projects that my clients can actually live in, can actually retire in. They're very rare. There's very few of them. I don't advertise them because they're for my private clients. If you're interested in that type of thing, send me an email, set up a consultation, and we can talk. Now, I do want to mention this because we don't know what's happening next year with Portugal or with any program. But this is my current global citizen power play that I like to talk about because this is packaging Portugal's power with St. Kitts power. And if you put these two programs together, by year 6, you'll have triple citizenship, which unlocks over 36 countries in the world for you. And I don't mean unlocks visa-free, I mean unlocks residency rights, Plan B rights, citizenship rights. These are 2 additional legal identities you'll have for banking, traveling, asset protection, doing whatever you want. Ultimately, at year 6, when it's all said and done, these 2 passports will cost you about $145,000, which is a price point you cannot beat, and you won't get anywhere else. That's the ultimate. That's the end result. It's going to cost you about $665 to get to that point, but with the full buyback from Portugal and all that, you'll be in about $145,000. Absolute best deal, in my opinion, you can make. Now, I do want to talk about this, for example, for a minute, because the UAE, we do the UAE Gold Visa. It is a good residency program. It's not the most popular Gold Visa in the world, but the real estate market in the UAE is one of the best. The UAE economy is expected to grow by almost 7%. Those are KPMG numbers, not mine, in 2025. And the Dubai and Abu Dhabi real estate markets are the most significant drivers of that growth. These, as you can see here, these property developers are the most exclusive. In Dubai, we have access to them. You have access to them if you're my client. And this is a portfolio brochure that we put out every month or two about what we have to offer in the Dubai market. And this is what it looks like up close. Again, standalone property investments or with the Golden Visa. It's up to you. You don't have to do the Golden Visa to take advantage of the property. Like I told you before, Holborn Assets is wealth management. Holborn Pass is our global citizenship solutions. Archway is our real estate solutions. So through Archway, we offer all of this stuff. This is the kind of information this brochure will give you about what we have to offer. One of the things one of the property investments I do want to highlight now about the UAE is the newest one. And, love them or hate them, say what you want about Trump, the president. Trump, the real estate mogul, is a whole different game. The man knows real estate. There's just no 2 ways about it. And he also knows markets. And he's going into the UAE market with his first Middle Eastern memberships only development, which is the Trump International Hotel and Tower. perfectly located. You can see the location right here. These are 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and 4-bedroom units of residences, penthouses. The 4 bedrooms are penthouses. The penthouses will be 7,000 square feet. The 2 and 3-bedroom units will be smaller, obviously, but they start at 1,200 square feet. The price point here, your 2-bedroom units are going to start at 1.4 million and up. This is not just a property investment, though. The golden visa, the residency, 10-year residency, is included in this property investment. So you're getting both residence and residency. The residences will be on floors 18 through 80. Below the 18th floor will be your memberships only and your Trump hotel stuff. The top of it there will be the pool and the gym and all that stuff. But this is this includes membership only. Uh, this includes Golden Visa. This is power, privacy, and prestige in the UAE market with one single investment. And I can connect you with it. Just again, send me an email and we'll get that process started. This will be gone before Trump 2.0 will be over. So this is not something to sleep. This again is me, but before we talk about me again, I just need to show this. This is the disclaimers page, the legal stuff. This will be uploaded on YouTube later. You can pause it and read this. Uh, this again is me. I'm Julian. This is the email address you want to send me a message to. We'll set up this gets you directly into my private clients list. Any other way, you have to go through the process. This is your direct access to me. This gets you right in right now. You can also scan this QR code. This will take you to my LinkedIn page, which is my hub of everything. You can do everything from my LinkedIn page and my newsletter. In my latest edition of the newsletter, the early May newsletter, you will see a link to the actual multi-court ruling again. So you can go to those exact paragraphs and see everything I was talking about, just so that you can see for yourself. I have an Instagram, I have a Substack, I have a website, but LinkedIn is the hub of everything. The email is the best way to get to me. And I've tried answering everybody's questions as we've been going. And there is one question that I did not answer, so I'll answer it now because it was just asked again. How long will it take to get to the Portuguese golden visa process? Well, at the beginning of the year, AMIA, which is the Portuguese Immigration Agency, initiated. They launched a whole bunch of new procedures, a new system. They added a whole bunch, over 1,000 new resources to speed up the process and to get through the backlog. And it's all been working. It's all been kicking in. It's all been working. However, with the elections, after they did that, the elections were announced for May, and which is going to happen on May 18th, this coming Sunday. And now that both parties are promising changes are coming, that kind of threw a wrench into the process. So right now, if you get your golden visa in, the application's time frame has been between 12 to 24 months. However, as we move closer to the end of the year now, unfortunately, there's a high likelihood that we're going to be building up a new backlog. Because if you don't get your application submitted by the end of this year, you're not going to be in the existing program, you're going to be in the new program. So as far as how long is it going to take to get to the residency, don't focus on that for Portugal. For Portugal, your focus needs to be getting grandfathered into the current program. The residency is going to take time. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to take at least 18 months plus to get your golden visa approved. But you'll be grandfathered in to the no tax residency, the no physical residency, the 7 days a year. You'll get your 5-year timeline, your 5-year countdown to citizenship started. You'll be locked into all of that if your application gets submitted before the end of December 2020. That's what you need to focus on. If you need a more immediate residency solution, then message me. We can build around and build with the Portugal program, like the global citizenship solution I showed you before. We can build with it so that you can keep that, secure that, and get something more immediate at the same time. But you're not going to get the benefits of the Portugal program with any other program. So you need to focus on getting grandfathered into that. And if there's other issues, let's discuss them and we'll build you something custom to make it work for you. Because I have the whole industry as my resource. You'll have it as your access. So that's that. That answers that question. That's the question everybody's asking. It's going to take a while to get approval, but you need to focus on grandfathering into the program. That's your number one priority right now. And that's that. Um, there's no other questions that aren't related to that. So again, should you have any questions, email me, julian.thomas@holbornaccess.com. Right here on the screen, scan the QR code. That'll get you right to my LinkedIn page. That gives you access to everything, me, and we will get your process started when you want it, when you're ready to go. And if you start now, if you sign on as my client now, we can get you grandfathered in this year. So that's the important thing. Okay, guys and ladies, send me an email, sign up, and let's get you started. Thank you for being here. Good morning, good night, good evening, wherever you are, and I'll see you next time.